Hi, and thank you for purchasing the stained glass quilt block. So here you have your pieces out of your box and lay them all out based on the numbered pattern, and just make sure you're working on a board or heat resistant surface. So I've got my pattern laid out, I've got all my glass pieces out, numbered side up, and exactly where they need to be. So let's start with the foiling process, shall we? All right, to begin foiling, grab your copper foil roll out of your kit. And what this is a copper foil tape. Foil on one side, paper backing on the other. When you peel the paper backing off, it's got a silver back, and that's the sticky side. And what we're going to do is we're going to put the foil around all of these pieces of glass. And the reason we do that is because when we get ready to move on to soldering, the soldering and solder that we're going to be using will stick to this copper foil that will be wrapped around each piece of glass, which in turn will hold your panel together, making it a stained glass panel. So I'm going to start with any piece, it doesn't matter. I'm going to start at the top, work my way down. The only thing you have to remember is make sure when you start your ends of your foil, I like to start mine where glass touches glass, anywhere on these three sides. I don't like to start it up here where there is no glass, because we don't want the ends sticking out on the outside of our panel. I like to tuck them in between the pieces of glass. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the glass and we're going to place it in the center of the foil strip, just like that. And then what we're going to do is actually wrap the glass into the foil. And we want to make sure that it's in the center of this foil strip all the way around. And all I'm doing is rolling the glass into the foil strip. I like doing it this way because I can see it head on, and I can make sure that my glass is exactly in the center of my foil strip. Now, if for some reason you get off center and you end up with no foil on one side and more foil on the other side, best bet is to peel it off, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So I've got my piece foiled. I overlapped it just a little bit, and then it's real thin, so I just tear it. You can use scissors too. And then what we're going to do is all this excess foil we're going to fold onto the glass all the way around. Try not to get it wrinkled, because once it's wrinkled, there's pretty much no turning back. All right, and when you get it all folded over on both sides, your ultimate goal here is however much foil you have on this side, you want the equal and same amount on the other side. That's why we want to make sure when we place the glass on the foil strip, it's right in the center. So this is what I'm talking about. This one looks really good. We've got the same amount on both sides. Now, if by chance you end up with none on one side and more on the other, or all of it on the other, that's what I'm talking about. Peel it all off, start again. We don't piece any of the foil together. I like using whole strips all the way around. Okay? So that is how we are going to foil our glass. Every piece has to be done that way. Then the next step is to burnish the foil onto the glass to make sure we have good adhesion. So also in your kit, you have this is called a fid. And what it is if you hold it like this, you'll notice it kind of is shaped like a little bow. It kind of bows upward right here on this end. And what we want to do with this is on that flat side right here, we want to take it and press and burnish on these outside edges first using that flat side of the fid. And you want to do this on all the sides first. And when you have that done, then lay it flat, and then you want to also burnish the top sides. Now you notice I'm not doing this, I'm not digging in. My fid is actually kind of flat on the top of the glass. Then we're going to flip it over and do the same thing. And what we're doing is, if you can see, this has got a couple of wrinkles in it, and what you're doing is you're making sure that all those wrinkles are gone and that all of the tape is stuck to the glass and none of it is sticking up. And there is our first piece, foiled and burnished. That's what you need to do with all the rest of the pieces. So I will do another piece. And again, I'm going to start where glass touches glass. If for some reason you're starting off and it doesn't stick, then just tear that piece of foil off away and get a fresh start. And I try to keep my fingers off the sticky side because the oils from your finger also will deter it from sticking. And again, we're going to go all the way around, and when we come back to the beginning, we will overlap just a little bit. Like that. And then again, I just tear. And then we fold it down on all sides. And there you go. Then we grab our fid, do the same thing. And to get as many wrinkles out as you can. And we're going to do the top and the back. All right, there you go. So that's what you need to do with the rest of your pieces of glass. So I will go ahead and continue my quest while you go ahead and continue yours. And after you get all your pieces foiled, I'll meet you back here. Alright, so you should have all of your pieces foiled and pinned on your board. I went ahead and pinned all of the perimeter of my piece because now we have to prep to solder, to begin soldering. So after you have them all foiled, grab some pins that is not included in your kit. Any type of push pins will work, and just tack all the way around the perimeter. So your goal is that there's no pieces that's wiggling or anything. Make it nice and tight according to the pattern. And then go ahead and grab your flux and your solder. And again, I'll meet you back here so we can start the soldering process. All right, we're back, and I have my flux out of my kit, my roll of solder, and my flux brush. The only thing that's not included in your kit is the soldering iron. The soldering iron needs to be a 100-watt soldering iron. The brand that I use is a Heiko FX601, as shown here. The reason I select this particular soldering iron is because it heats very fast in 30 seconds, and the fact that it's very lightweight, doesn't weigh very much. And I like the length of this shaft here is very short compared to some of the other soldering irons. So as long as you have a 100-watt soldering iron, then we can begin the soldering process. So grab your iron, plug it in, get it hot, and then let's begin putting our panel together, shall we? Alright, so the first step in this process is to get a little bit of gel flux on your brush, and we're going to brush all of these copper joints. The reason we need to do this is because the solder right here, when we get ready to apply it to this panel, we will apply it to the copper foil, and the flux is what helps the solder stick to the copper foil. If you fail to flux your panel before you begin, you'll notice the solder will be very gummy and will want to stick to the glass and just be very hard to work with. and that should be your first clue that you forgot to flux. So always flux your panel. If you can't remember if you did it or not, just do it again. It's not going to hurt anything. So I like to just kind of flux part of my panel, and like right now I'm doing about half, and then I'll go back and solder this, and I'll go back and flux the other half and solder the other half. So that's all fluxed now. Now we're going to grab our solder roll. So there's two ways of soldering. You can either tack solder, which means you're just going to place little drops of solder on all the joints in order to keep your panel tacked in place and not come apart. And the main reason people do this is if they've got a lot of pins and things in the way, that way they can get the pins out of their way and then go back and actually solder the rest of the panel without having to worry about the iron hitting the push pins or anything. So the tack soldering process is to just go down on top of the solder about the width of the iron, but you're going to do it at the bottom. So you're just going to grab some like this, and then you're just going to place it at various joints on your panel. And this is basically just tacking your pieces into place so that we can get the pins out of the way. So that's one process. The other process is actually what's called running a bead. And the way you do that is you actually melt the solder on top of the iron, hold the iron up at approximately 45 degrees, and then as the solder melts, it will flow down the front of the iron as you move across your foil joint. And that is called running a bead. Right, so either way you do it, it really doesn't matter as long as you get the right amount of solder on each of your joints. And the way you know whether or not you have enough solder on all your joints is you should end up with a little bit of what I call a speed bump. It shouldn't be flat. It should just have a nice little bump sticking up as you feel, as you run your finger across it. And be careful, it's hot, so let it cool off first. But if you feel like they're not really pretty or not looking right, or you've got some globs, so here's how you fix it. Once you get the correct amount of solder on your panel and it's not flat anywhere, what I do then is I go back over it and just go 1, 2, go all the way down till you hit the glass, count to 2, and then come back up. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And that right there will pretty much create your solder lines for you that will be very pretty. Now if you notice a flat area, like I don't have enough there, I grab some, like I'm gonna tack solder, and then I just add to that, and again 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and let it liquefy and let it run where it needs to. And that right there will give you all the very nice solder lines that you're looking for in a stained glass panel. Just like that. So again, it doesn't necessarily matter which process you use, as long as you get it on there and you get enough on there to create that little speed bump, just like that. And this will take some practice, so don't get frustrated. It will take a couple of times until you get the feel for how the solder melts and how quickly it melts and things like that. So again, just whether you want to tack it first to get the pins out of the way, or you just want to go ahead and get some solder on there, you can always still get it on here now and then pretty it up later once the pins have been removed. Okay, so I'm going to continue this, and you need to go do yours also. And the only thing that we're not going to do is don't worry about these edges right here. Okay, we'll go all the way down to the joints, but then we won't do the edges. We'll do the edges after we've removed the pins, and I'll show you how we're going to do those. Okay, so go ahead and finish soldering this side as I've showed you, and kind of get the feel for it. And then again, if you need to kind of pretty it up, just go 1, 2, 1, 2, because we don't really want to run the hot iron across the hot foil now that we've got solder on it, because we don't want to rip the foil either. Okay, So just 1, 2, 1, 2, and that'll remelt it, liquefy it, and give you a nice even solder line. All right, let me finish mine while you work yours, and I'll meet you back here. All right, so you caught me taking my pins out. I will finish removing them. You should have all of this side soldered except for the edges, which is where we're heading now. And yes, you may notice, of course, your panel's gunky because of the flux, but it may also have a couple brown spots. Don't worry about that. That's just where the flux is kind of burning a little bit. That will all wash off when we get ready to clean up our panel. So the next step that we need to do is these copper outer edges. So I'm applying flux all the way around to just this top side. We're not worried about these edges on the side yet. We're only going to do this top part. The reason we're not doing the sides right now is because if you happen to have solder come roll off these joints along the way onto the edge, you don't want to have to clean them up every 5 minutes or so. We will do that at the end and do them all at one time. So what we're going to do here at the outside is we're just going to take a little tiny bit of flux here, or solder, and then we're just going to run our iron right across the edge just like that. And all we're doing is changing the color from copper to silver with the solder. That's it. That's all we're going to do just on this top side right here, all the way around. Okay, once you've done that, then you can go ahead, and if you've got some areas where you didn't make it all the way to the corner or to the edge because the pins were in the way, you can go ahead and fix those areas up like I'm doing right here, all the way around. And you have to kind of be careful as you're soldering. You don't want to hang out in one area and get the glass superheated in one spot, because the glass could have a tendency to break with the heat of the iron. So if you have a problem area and you can't fix it all at one time, back off, go to another location, work on something else, and then you can always go back to it later after the glass has cooled. Okay, so I have fixed all of my joints. Those all look pretty good. Now, after that has cooled, you can pick it up. It will be stuck to your pattern. Just unstick it. And then we're going to flip it over. And now we have to repeat and do the exact same thing to the back side. So again, we flux. And again, I'm only going to flux a portion of it. I'm not going to flux all of it. Just like that. And then we are going to continue and solder this side the same way we did the front. So there's really no need to tack unless you just like that process better. I like to just run a bead and try to get as much solder on all of it as I can. This is like my step 1 process. And then basically once I have enough solder everywhere, then my step 2 is just to go back and kind of pretty it up by 1, 2, 1, 2, just that 1, 2 method, just like that. And if it bubbles and spatters, that's okay. It's just the flux trying to escape. And just make sure you get those nice speed bumps just like you did on side 1. We're going to do the same thing here. Alright, so I'm going to continue my quest on this side. And I want you guys to go do the same thing. And again, this is just something that takes a little bit of practice. And the more you do it, the better you'll get, because you'll see how the solder reacts to the iron and the heat, and you'll know how to handle it with practice. All right, so continue on, and once again, after you get this side done, I will have mine done, and I'll meet you back here after you've soldered and tinned the top side, just like we did on side 1. See you in a minute. So now we are done with side 2. And yes, your piece is nice and gunky, just like mine. So now we're at the last step where we want to work on these edges right here. Okay, so if you notice, kind of hard to see. Let me see if I can turn it. Okay, right here. See, notice these edges are still copper. Okay, and we want to do the same thing that we did with the other edges, and we want to tin them. So same process, just get you a little tiny bit of solder, and then we are just going to take our iron and just go right down the side. I kind of pick it up and work this side and just let gravity grab hold. That way if you've got any solder globs or anything that have run down the side, they will then fall and just land on your pattern here. So again, we're going to try to do this side, and we're just changing the color again. There goes a dot right there where I had a glob fall on the side. And we'll do this other edge right here. And last one, we're just going to change the color like we did on the top. Just like that. And I think that did it, yes. Alright, move him out of the way. So now, flip it back to the front. So now you have basically completed your panel. But there's still one thing missing. You still have to have a way to hang it. So if you notice on your pattern here, I've indicated where your rings will go to hang. You always attach the rings to a joint. Okay, so where there is a solder line. So we're going to add a ring here on this corner and a ring on this corner because we have the joints right there. Now the only thing I like doing is I like attaching my rings to the back of my panel. That way they're not so conspicuous and in your face and hinder the beautiful front of your panel. So I will attach mine here, but I'm going to do it on the back. So I'm going to flip this over. And you should have 2 rings also included in your kit. There are mine. So get those out, and then the only thing you will need is a pair of pliers of some sort. I like using needle nose. I'll show you mine in a minute. So if you have a pair, go grab those, and then let's attach some rings. I went and grabbed my trusty rusty pliers here and got my jump rings, and you're going to hold the jump rings with your pliers, and I like going into my joint, not quite half of the width of the ring. That way it's hidden in the back of your panel, and again just enough to get a ribbon or a chain or something attached to it. So yes, we're going to solder, so anytime you solder obviously we would need flux, so we're going to apply some flux to the ring and that joint. And then the way we're going to do this, remember how we tack soldered, where I just grabbed a little bit of that solder? The same concept. I'm just going to grab a little bit of this solder just like that. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to work my 2-second rule. Go down, 1, 2, and up. And there is my ring. Notice I'm not letting go of the pliers yet, or of the ring, because we have to make sure that the solder solidifies, otherwise the ring will just fall. So there's one. Now I'm going to grab the second ring. I'm going to turn this panel a little bit so you guys can see. And same concept, we're going to go a little less than half of the ring. Again, I'm going to apply my flux, grab my soldering iron, a little bit of solder, and again, 1, 2. Now this one I kind of dripped on the side, so we're going to just kind of remove that drip, and we'll try this again one more time. 1, 2, and there it worked. So again, I'm not letting go until the solder has solidified. And then because I did have a little drip, I'm just going to run my iron right across this edge, just like we did earlier when we had a drip. There you go. And there's the little solder ball. And I'll flip it back over and you guys can see. So there you go. There is your panel with your rings, just as shown. And you have now completed your very first stained glass panel. Or maybe it's your second or third, and if it is, I truly appreciate it. I hope you go grab some more and continue practicing. This is a fun craft and great for Christmas presents too, don't forget. So congratulations on your first panel. Now you get to go clean up, and I'll let you know here in the next part of the slide how you do that. And again, I appreciate you guys supporting PeaceLuvGlass. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please do not hesitate to shoot me an email at PeaceLuvGlass@gmail.com, or just send me a picture of your completed panel and where it's hanging and where its new home is. I'd love to see them and share them. So shoot me a message. I look forward to receiving them. Thanks again, and have a groovy day.